Welcome to the Market Like a Coach podcast. I'm Angela Nauman, a master writing teacher and marketing coach. Here we dive into stories and strategies to refine your messaging, make your program shine, and turn your audience into raving fans. Ready to elevate your coaching game and build a thriving business with heart? Let's get started, my friend. It's time to market like a coach. Hey, my friends, and welcome back to the Market Like a Coach podcast. All right, today, friends, we're going to talk about something. It's a little silent saboteur that we come across as experienced coaches. So this is perfect for you, my friend. If you are a coach or an entrepreneur that you have been in the business 4, 5, 10 years, 20 years, and the results you used to get, you just don't get anymore. And you're like, but I haven't changed anything. I'm still doing the same thing. And we're going to talk about what's going on. And a common problem I see, especially, it can be for anyone, but especially I see it with experienced coaches and what that problem is. So let's dive into this. So this weekend, and it was nice, actually relaxing weekend. We didn't have band. Our son, my oldest son, they did the Texas State marching competition this week and came in 5th in his band. And so marching season is over. Minus a football game we have coming up, which will be senior night, and I'm having some feels about that. But it was like one of the first weekends we just didn't have anything. And we did a few things, like we did, there's some things at church we did and everything, but generally compared to the rest, the last 4, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, it wasn't as busy. We weren't running out the door. We weren't leaving at 8 and getting home at 2 a.m. or anything like that because of marching competitions or anything. So it was really kind of nice. We were home more. All of us, not just part of us. And that felt really good. So we did some things like sit down for dinner and hang out at the table, sit in the living room and talk and laugh. And it was during this time what I had this moment happen with my 14-year-old. He's 14 now, where he's trying to tell a story and explain something to me. I don't even know about what. Like my brain is like completely shut down. I can't even tell you. This is my point. Whatever he was talking about, I just had to pretend I understood. And I have such a low point of reference for whatever he had been talking about that I didn't even keep it in my memory. There is no synapses that were made other than I could picture where we were in the living room, but I was clueless to what he was talking about. Now, my husband understood him and they began having a conversation, and then I tuned out. Sometimes, friends, that confusion will happen to our audience where we just begin talking and they just tune out. And here's what I think is I really think it is more prominent the more experienced you are that it can happen. And hear me out. Here's what I mean. Sometimes when we have a whole lot of experience under our belt, we don't just say what we need to say. We expand on it. We elaborate. We make it poetic. We make this beautiful example. Maybe we use some fancy jargon and terms from our coaching industry. And our audience, imagine, especially if you're not marketing to people who are entrepreneurs, we've lost them. We've lost them, right? Our language doesn't speak to them. They don't even understand the jargon we're talking about. They don't understand the key phrases maybe that come out of your niche if they haven't been studying it, right? The clarity for it. Maybe if we're talking really poetically, I have clients that do this, they're just beautiful in how they talk. Like, they wrote some really great papers in English, but now they are on social media and you're like, yeah, but nobody talks that way. That's not how we talk on social media. So what happens is we lose clarity. And just like I tuned out with my 13, 14-year-old this weekend, if our content is lacking clarity or is creating confusion, then our audience tunes right out. They're scrolling on, they're moving on, they're having nothing to do with it. And so that's what I wanted to talk with you about today, about how we actually bring a little bit more clarity back in. And I have an answer for you. Like I have if it's November of 2024, you can get this free. A 7-day marketing self-evaluation, a little 7-day checklist thing you can go through to evaluate your content for the last 7 days to see where your marketing message is, where your clarity is laying out. So if you're interested in that, I'm going to post a link down below where you can get to it. But anyway, what happens for us when we're doing this is people tune out. And the fix is, friends, like we have to get really clear. So how do we get clear? And so the first thing I'm going to tell you, number one, is you have to have an awareness about if it's clear, if it's confusing, what's going on with your content. You have to self-evaluate that, or you can't make changes. If you don't know where you are, you can't ask the right questions to yourself. You can't decide if you need to make changes. You can't begin to implement anything new. You can't start changing anything you need to change. So you have to come into awareness. Now, after we get awareness, then we get to start doing some evaluation of that awareness. We get to start asking questions. Okay, what is working? What isn't working? What do I need to do different? And from that place, we can begin making decisions. Okay, I'm going to keep this languaging, but I'm going to change this. I'm going to start writing a little bit more like this. I'm going to try this tool. I'm going to try this technique. I'm going to go live and talk about it versus just writing it out. We get to start making decisions about what can be changed. And then we get to just let go what we need to let go of and embrace what we need to embrace. Right? We know these things with, like, when it comes to mindset, but it's the same thing inside of our marketing. Just like in mindset, we'd go through awareness and decision and letting go and reframing. Basically, you get to do that with your marketing and your messaging, but first starts with awareness. That's why I'm offering you the free evaluation, marketing evaluation checklist. So that's inside my Pumpkin to Talk About mini marketing makeover that I'm giving away for those that are on my wait list for to see what the Black Friday lightning deal stuff is. So the link will be in the description. You want to do this because if you don't do that, you cannot start changing things. Now, what's going to need to be changed? That just depends. So sometimes it might be our language has to change. Sometimes it might just be like maybe we're talking too much jargon or using too many words that make our content hard to read, right? You ever try to read like a newspaper article and you're like, or remember back in college, like you go to read a textbook and you're trying to just study. You're like, you're going to be studious this time in this class. You're going to be studious. And then you can't even get through the paragraph without having to stop and look up words, right? So there's no comprehension of what you just read because you're having to stop and look up words. Well, on social media, my friends, they don't stop and look up words. They scroll on. Right? So if we're talking too much above them, we lost them. They're gone. We don't get them back. So sometimes it's language. Sometimes it's clarity. And clarity is making sure they understand us. I had a client today, we were on a call and she said that she said, I'm afraid that what I do is that I actually do know what to say. And then I start talking about it. And then I keep talking about it and I keep talking about it. And I talk circles and circles around it to the point that people tune out. Like we overload them. We give them too much information. This happens a lot when we're very seasoned coaches. We have a ton of information. It's like the time I was with early on in my inner circle days, I had, here's what the program's about. But then I was like, well, but they need this too. And I added something else. Well, but they need this too. And I add another module. I couldn't just like bring it to the Monday calls. I had to then keep adding modules to the point where it was so cram packed with everything and nobody knew what to do or where to start. And it's overwhelming because that's not what people want. People don't want, here's newsflash. People don't want more. They want clear. They want to know exactly what to do to get exactly the result they want. They don't need more things to get the result. They need clarity. And that comes through messaging. And the other part of that, which goes kind of into clarity a little bit and language, is relevance. It has to be relevant to them. It has to make sense. And if it doesn't make sense to them, if it's not what they want to hear, if it's not what they're looking for, then it doesn't matter if your language is right. And it doesn't matter how clear it is because if they're not looking for it, like if they're not already downloading books about it, if they're not already searching things, if their algorithm isn't already showing, imagine the TikTok algorithm. Once you look at one keto recipe, then it brings up a ton of keto people sharing keto recipes, right? And so if they're not interested in that, they're not going to see it. And it's the same thing. If they're not already interested in those things, they're not about to join your program. They're not. It's not of interest. So we have to make sure it's relevant to them. So all this together is about our messaging, and we want to really just dive into that. And I know we've kind of talked about it before, but today what I want to tell you is get awareness. You need to get awareness about where you are and what's working and what isn't. And if you need help with that, download my, join the Pumpkin to Talk About, where you can get that 7-day content messaging evaluation. It's a little self-evaluation, boom, 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 crank it out. It tells you exactly what to look for so that you know, so that you can go, okay, whew, this, I thought this was good, but I didn't realize I wouldn't even do this or that. And you can start looking at things. So you can start making the micro shifts. And here's the thing, friends, it's not about major changes on everything. It's micro shifts. So like when I bring in a client and we're looking at our messaging, one of the very first things we do inside my inner circle or even in private coaching is messaging. We make sure you have your offer optimized. We know what you're selling and how you want to sell it. And then we go into messaging. How are we going to talk about that? How are we going to talk about the pain points there? How are we going to talk in a way that resonates with that audience? And so when we do that, it's not about changing everything, right? Especially that you're an experienced coach, like you're already putting out content. This is not you learning how to write content like you've never put it out. This is micro shifts in what you do to make it more effective and convert better, right? If someone's telling you need to change everything, either you're real messed up or, gosh, let me tell you what, I just don't think that's a thing. I don't think that's a thing when you've been in business for 4, 5, 6, 10 years and you sign clients already, like clients come through the door. It's not about scrapping everything and starting over. It's about making micro shifts. And that's the same thing with our messaging. It's the same thing in our marketing. You already have good content. It's about making the micro shifts to get it converting and effective. And that starts with messaging. There's other areas, there's other content things that go with that, storytelling that goes with that, emotions that go with that, strategy in the actual marketing that goes with that. But very first thing is your messaging. So get some awareness. Get some awareness. You can download mine. You can go join my thing and get mine for free, or go find one, make your own, find a book, something. Don't keep doing what you've been doing. Don't keep, if what you are saying is not creating clients to the level you think it should, to the amount of effort you give it, then it's time to evaluate it and assess it, find some awareness with it so that you can make the tweaks you need to bring the conversion. All right, my friends, that's what I got for you today. You have a great day. Hey, my friends. Thanks for tuning in to the Market Like a Coach podcast. I hope you found today's episode valuable and inspiring. Remember, it's all about refining your message and elevating your content game so that you can thrive as a coach. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your fellow coaches. For more tips and strategies and resources, visit me at angelanauman.com.